Hi everybody, welcome to the October Energy Update. I'm Lee and I'm an energy intuitive, a channeler and a sound healer, and this video, this energy update, is designed to talk about what's going on at the personal and the universal energy levels right now. So our personal energy, all of the human stuff, universal energy, everything to do with the soul and the universe, and how those two intersect. So I'm here at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. It's a beautiful, wonderful place, and we just finished a weekend workshop here. So we're in the forest and the incredible atmosphere here. I wanted to beam a little bit of that to you through the video. So before we get started with some information about what's going on right now, let's just take a few breaths together. Inhaling to come to the present. Exhaling to let go of anything you don't need to be holding on to right now. So first, a nice steady inhale to come to the present. And an exhale to release any emotions and energies that you don't need to hold on to. An inhale to come to the present. And an exhale to let go of everything you don't need to hold on to. An inhale to come to the present, and an exhale to let it all go. That's a really good practice to be doing on a daily basis in general, but especially at the moment when so much is going on. You know, September had a very thick, heavy energy to it for most people. If you are high energy extrovert, you probably were in the small group of people who really had an amazing September full of opportunities and creation and riding the waves of these transformational times that we're in. But for the majority of people, September would have been a very impactful month and would have been a time that you may have felt fatigue, overwhelm, needing to step back. And in terms of manifesting things and making things happen in the world and energy flowing in your life, it was a very tricky month, and that will continue for the next few weeks. And there are a few different reasons for that. Number one, we're at a point in time where death and birth are very close to each other. So there are very strong death and birth energies right now. We're seeing a lot of death in the outer world, things that are dying in society, things that are revealing themselves in society that need to die or that need to change in order to move forward. And also a lot of destructive or death energies and some of the inhumanity that's showing up in certain authority figures around the world that's really there for all of us to see up close and personal right now. There's no getting away from it. And ironically, that lack of empathy or the inhumanity that is broadcast into the world creates a growth of empathy. That's not always comfortable. If you think about it, you know, we get very compassionate for other people's experiences when we ourselves have gone through heartbreaks, challenges, tough times, because we have an empathy for it. So at the moment, some of the universal heartbreak that's going round, whether you're, focusing on an area of the world that's going through a crisis right now, or whether you're focusing on a group of people who are being oppressed or suppressed, or whether it's someone in your life who's right here who is breaking your heart through their actions or their way of being. This theme of heartbreak in September and the pressure on your emotional heart was definitely at an all-time high, and in a way that's going to continue through October. But the most important thing that we can do is ask ourselves, well, what is that about, or what's on the other side of that for us? And if you think of times in your life where you've hit rock bottom or you've gone through incredibly difficult challenges, for all of us who've gone through those and come out the other side, we come out the other side wiser, lighter, and with a stronger appreciation for the good things in life, because we've experienced what it's like to lose things, to suffer, to experience the loss of things that we thought would always be there. So recognize that's a world theme right now. There's a shattering of belief taking place worldwide, and for many years it's been prophesied that we would see a planetary awakening. The thing that you have to sit with around that is the awakening going to look the way you want it to? Meaning, for many of us, it was a spiritual awakening that we had, that thunderbolt of lightning that hit us because of a certain thing that happened in our life, or we just had a psychic opening or a spiritual awakening, or suddenly this realization there's more to life than we perhaps used to think there was. Well, if you look at how people are right now very much being confronted with where certain systems in the world aren't working on behalf of people, on behalf of the whole community, the worldwide community at large. That in itself is an awakening. It's an awakening to, I thought this group who are supposed to look after me were going to look after me. So you're seeing that play out a lot politically at the moment, but what it's doing is it's awakening people's hearts and it's awakening people's fire. It's why more and more of us are feeling more action-based around what do we need to do? How can we be a part of the solution and not just complain about the problem? Complaining about the problem is a big one right now because emotions are at an all-time high. Another thing that I remember coming through one of the channeled messages I did about a decade ago, there was this message saying, in the future, things are going to be a lot more emotional. People are going to get more in touch with their emotions about a decade from now. And I remember naively thinking, oh, great, that sounds really good. But what I of course wasn't translating was, will people's ability to process their own emotions consciously and put them into the world in a conscious, loving way have caught up to that reality? And of course, that's not how it goes for a lot of us. Usually our emotions fire up, and especially if you aren't conscious of energy or emotion, or you don't really have a strong awareness around the way that your reactions are affecting other people, you just haven't got there yet, or no one's helped you get there, it looks kind of like the world looks now, which is a lot of people feeling amplified emotions and tribally pulsing them at each other, with not much sophistication and not much understanding of how those emotions are affecting each other. So there is a great opportunity for all of us to learn to listen more, to learn to try and understand each other. Now, unfortunately, it's often the case that people need a forum for that. So, I'm seeing some examples of it in the world right now. I'm seeing some great examples of people having discussions with their loved ones, or, I've seen a few television programs where people are trying to bring disparate groups together and have conversations. So that's wonderful. It's in the air, it's in the energy. But for many of you, you might be the facilitator of that healing conversation for others. And what do you do if you're fatigued? What do you do if you're burnt out? I spoke back in August that there would be a kind of healer burnout going round. And it's really important to honor that, because at the moment, with this higher emotion going on in the outside world, if you yourself are overexposing yourself to unconscious emotion, you're not necessarily going to be having a very easy time. So be very, very mindful about how what you're exposing yourself to is affecting you. I'll break this down further, give you a clearer example. When you look at news headlines at the moment, how do they make you feel in the moment? But most importantly, where does it leave you? So I just gave an example at the workshop this weekend, which is, it's one thing to look at a set of news headlines and feel like you come away informed. And even if you have an emotional reaction, maybe you're reading about things and you're feeling sad for what's going on for people, but you come away and you're able to feel that sadness, process it, and move on, or direct some attention in their direction, whether it's donations or volunteering or whatever it is. You don't feel disempowered by the amount of suffering that you're seeing in the world. Another way, and I'm seeing this a lot, is do you come away from those headlines and go, oh my God, this is just awful. This is awful. Two things to bear in mind. Number one, the amount that you're exposing yourself to can be overwhelming, and if it disempowers you into depression or feeling deflated about the world, you want to start paying attention to that and stop repeatedly exposing yourself to that. Or ask yourself, am I using this to get in touch with the part of me that is a bit depressed or just needs to quieten down? But secondly, how are those stories being reported? Everything is filtered and comes with a certain emotional energy. So for example, I could tell you guys a story and I could say, oh my God, this house burnt down and it was just awful. Or I could say to you guys, okay, a house has burnt down and this is what we're going to do about how we can repair that house. You know, it's two very different ways of telling the story and two very different emotions that I'm broadcasting at you. So be mindful of what you're reading and how it is being presented to you. And the way we do this is when we walk away from it, it's like, how do I feel? Well, I don't feel great. Was the way that story was reported full of fear? Is it just too overwhelming for me to look at this? So I've been talking for the last couple of minutes really about news headlines, but it's exactly the same with people. Do you come away from talking to somebody and feel like their despair or their fear about the world was the only thing they were broadcasting? So on Friday night, we did a channeled message, and the message was all about these are times of creation. These times we are in, number one, we were born for them. Number two, they are times of creation and birth. And a lot of our focus is being sent towards death and destruction. Again, you might be dealing with destruction or death in your life right now. So if that's where your focus is and that's where it needs to be, stay there. You trust yourself, trust where you feel it's meant to be. But for everyone else who isn't perhaps up close and personal with that, it's really important that we keep renewing our energy. And the one good thing about these fast times is you can let go of things far faster than ever before. But our historical identities might not know that. For example, if in 2010 it used to take you a week to get over grief, part of your habit pattern is, oh, I've hit grief. Well, I'd better just pull the blinds down and stay in the house and not see anybody because I know I'm going to be depressed for a week. Question that. That won't be the truth anymore because things are faster. So we can let go of things faster. We can be affected by things faster. That's what we need to pay attention to. This very fast river of emotion and energy that is affecting all of us. It's interesting, in the channel on Friday, which we recorded, so provided everything's okay with the recording, that will appear in the portal and in my MP3 store in a coming couple of months. It was referring to soldiers of time and how so many of us who are built the way we are are soldiers of time, and that we've seen all of these cycles before, and what we're seeing right now is a mass consolidation of them, and it can throw you off your game if you let it, or you can recognize the game has changed. And that leads me to the final thing I want to share today: identity. The identity of our world is changing fast. That means many of us will also be having moments of identity crisis, or I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I like anymore. That thing that I used to like is no longer working for me. Let yourself change with the tide. That was the big message from Friday night too. We have to let ourselves change. And when we can feel that change inside ourselves, or we want to change our habits with others, we're nervous. Well, how will this affect them? How will this affect our relationship? How will this affect how things go? We have to trust who we're becoming enough that we allow ourselves to become something new, because everything's changing on the planet and we're going with it. We're going with it. We can resist it, we can grieve the old, or we can go, oh, okay, these are very different times, and that means I will be different too. The thing that came up a lot this weekend was responsibility, and the responsibility that you can feel as a healer, light worker, leader in your community, parent, to feel responsible for others, whether it's their emotions, their life situations. A very strong message that was running through the group here this weekend was know when to step out of responsibility in order to recover enough that you can authentically give your sense of responsibility. Meaning, there will be a lot of you at the moment who will be having to learn to let go of this sense of responsibility for others and for the world in order to be who you are going to become. If you are a naturally responsible person, the last thing you want to be thinking about is being more responsible. If you're irresponsible, sure, focus on responsibility a little bit. So for those of you who are responsible, let go. Let go, let go, and it might be why things are not happening for you in life the way that you think they should be. We're still in an era of productivity, but where material productivity is concerned, things are changing fast, so things aren't manifesting the way that they might have years ago because you're going to upgrade the form. So you have this great vision about the form, you walk towards it, and it's like, I'm going to create this healing center, or I'm going to create this piece of work. It doesn't come off because at the moment things are changing fast. So if it doesn't happen, don't worry. Just sit back and go, okay, it will renew itself. It will appear somewhere else. You don't have to be responsible for the way that things used to be produced because we are in different times. So thank you for tuning in. Big love to all of you, and I hope you look after yourselves well this coming month. For those of you in the portal, my members community, I hope you've been enjoying this past month's MP3. It's called Awaken Your Deep Heart. It was a channel and a sound healing that was delivered live at an energy mastery retreat. It's very powerful. It's kind of like energy surgery for your heart. And that's available in my MP3 store, and we'll play a clip at the end of this video. We have 2 places left for my Costa Rica Soul Magic Retreat, which is at the end of October. So if you want 7 days of energy transformation in a beautiful place, come to Costa Rica. We'd love to have you join our group. And last but not least, the portal is my members community. We do a live Q&A healing call every month. It's 90 minutes long. If you can't join live, it's always archived, so you can check in at any time. You can send in your question. We get through as many questions as we can each month. You also get an MP3, a discount in the store, a forum, a like-minded community basically who share with each other. So check that out at my website. And to all of you, lots of love for the month of October. Take care. Bye-bye. So for you, resting in this deep heart and using this deep heart to sense the people in front of you and how they resonate with where you are at any given moment, on any given day, it will help to keep you whole. It will help to fuel you through your day and through your awakening. For awakening just continues and continues. Many of you like to refer back to when you had your last awakening. And yet the truth is, as tantric teachings show, joy and the pleasure of awakening can continue to unfold and unfold and unfold in your life. And sometimes the awakening is painful, for pain is what has to be moved out in order for you to pop open. But once you have gone through a couple of the painful awakenings, a transformation starts to emerge, for you have more space inside you for this joyous awakening. Awaken, awaken to all is everything, you are everything. Awaken, awaken.